Will Resident Evil live up to the hype? Will any game ever meet our expectations? That and more on the Names Are Hard podcast. I'm here again with Joe, Jared, and Chris. All their aliases and everything. I'm hoping we can just put in the comments so I don't have to remember them myself. But yeah, let's start off with Resident Evil. Chris, you were just telling us how you jizzed in your pants.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit.
I think it was put best in Discord when I told you guys that I found the 1 day only Steam demo today. While I was doing a bit of research, it was like it just happened to pop up in an article that Steam put out the demo for today. You get to play 1 hour, and so yeah, I threw it up on Discord. It's like, guys, I'm gonna get to play before the podcast. Sweet, this is gonna be great. And then I think I just posted a GIF of like a waterfall exploding out of.
Oh yeah. That GIF too, like the actual like behind the waterfall, kind of looked like a certain female organ. At least that's how I saw it.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess that was the point.
I can see it.
And we can put it. Maybe we'll put it in for reference, but either way.
Yeah. So it was super exciting finding that the day that we were shooting this podcast. Just because it's like, hey, we're going to talk about whether it's hyped or overhyped or anything. And we're going to talk a little bit about what this game is bringing to the table. And hey, I get to try it. Because I missed the PlayStation window. And because again, it was like you get like 1 day or 2 days to play it. Or no, it was 8 hours.
Oh,
there was an 8-hour period where you could download that mod and play for half an hour. Or not mod, sorry, the demo.
What are your first impressions of the demo after playing it? Because I know I personally know your impressions of it because I watched you play it, but tell the audience. And
Joe was like sitting there watching me play this game, and I'm just like losing my shit. It was awesome. My computer is not like it's not amazing. The graphics card is a 1060. I'm a little over minimum requirements on that end, but damn, it is pretty. It is a beautiful game. The gameplay was intuitive. It felt, I don't know, it felt natural, kind of hopping in, like pressing different buttons to do things.
Did they improve the shooting at all from 7?
The thing is, I only played 7 on PlayStation. And so playing it on keyboard was weird a little bit at first, trying to control, because the mouse settings weren't very sensitive to start off. So it's like when I went to look at something, it was like,
yeah, that's
menu.
It always seems like with not even just exclusively Capcom games, a lot of the default settings they kind of shouldn't be default. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of shit you have to adjust.
Yeah, way too much.
I cannot complain about anything with this game. It's weird because, like, you know how if you're a fan of the series, Resident Evil 3 took place in Raccoon City, like Resident Evil 2, kind of direct continuation of what had happened in the second game, if not simultaneous. I can't remember what it is, but just zombies and regular BOWs from the Resident Evil universe. Then you get to 4. You're in a village, and like they're not quite zombies, but they're kind of zombies, and you're running into completely different BOWs.
Sorry, what's a BOW?
A bioorganic weapon.
Oh, okay. I've never played anything from Resident Evil.
I think because I think we talked to you about this last time. About
the remake or whatever.
We were talking about the remakes, and you were saying you never, like, one of the things that kind of put you off of Resident Evil was the fixed camera angles, which those disappeared as of 4.
Oh,
4
yeah,
was an
yeah.
over the shoulder.
Yeah.
The gameplay in that game was complete switch over. It became more of like an action survival
Right.
with elements of horror. 5 definitely just played off the exact same thing. They were like, hey, we were successful with this. Let's keep it going. And there were a couple moments in that game that were just damn silly, but
Just a couple.
just a couple.
Just a couple.
Well, it's Capcom.
It's still a
Is it
fun game.
Capcom that
Yeah.
did this? Yeah, they've kind of been known for doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think.
But then they came out with 7. 7 was like, we're going back to horror, baby.
Oh, we lost.
We lost Joe.
We lost Joe. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, I guess keep going.
We will keep going and hope
Hope he
he
back.
rejoins. Or if
Um,
maybe lost power or something.
maybe.
Sorry, Ryan, I cut you off.
No. The thing about Resident Evil for me, because I did play it on the PlayStation, and we've already touched on that, but I've watched people play it, and I don't know, it never seemed like something I wanted to play. I watched the Resident Evil 7, I guess, or sorry, yeah, of 7, where it's like kind of episodic in a way. Is that there was one that had like you could do a little chapter each. Like it wasn't a full playthrough of the same person. It was like, oh, I'm gonna play this one chapter where I escaped driving a car, or so, I can't remember what it's called, honestly. It very well could be Resident Evil 7, and I just saw it in an episodic manner, but
Right.
like it was cool to watch, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
whoa, this is fun, cool thing to watch. But like I never really wanted to go and try it after the fact, I guess.
6 was kind of episodic because it hopped around between different characters in different storylines. And you know what? At first I hated that game, but like I played through the whole thing. I had fun.
Mhm.
But it was like it was a fun game to play.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say about the storyline or some of the aspects of that game.
The millions
you?
of button prompts.
Yeah.
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 Jesus.
Yeah, they were like, let's double down on this thing that we know everybody hated in the last 2 games. I have no problem with QuickTime events. They do keep you engaged, but like,
Yeah.
know your time.
Yeah, for sure.
Not all the time.
Don't go for the slow clap every time.
Yeah.
It's
No.
you overdo something and it becomes repetitive and annoying as hell, especially when you have to watch the same cutscene 40 times
Yep.
or Krauser keeps slitting your freaking throat.
And
Yeah.
it's an unskippable
Yeah.
thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always hated
Um,
QuickTime events.
Oh god.
They're the worst.
RE4 had some doozies, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But RE7 cut those out, as far as I remember. Like there might have been 1 or 2 QuickTime events, so it wasn't anything crazy. But they went back to the horror, and they went first person, which was really weird for a Resident Evil game. They hadn't done that since Survivor, which was like an offshoot out in the boonies
Oh, was that the
released.
Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. Sorry.
It was on PS1.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
It was a game I didn't even know existed until my dad found me a copy because he knew I liked Resident Evil.
Mhm.
And yeah, his buddy at work had sent it home and sent it with him. It was like, oh my god, this is great. Actually, pretty cool game. Check it out. RE7 though, like kind of changed everything. They went for this first person. They went back to the horror. You don't have a lot of ammo. You don't have a lot of anything really. Very dark. And once again, you're stuck in a mansion, a really big mansion with really weird puzzles.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a nice throwback.
I noticed that with the stuff that I did see, it was, fairly heavy on the puzzles, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's actually kind of cool to watch how they, piece these puzzles together. It makes no sense. Like I'm thinking I seriously don't know what this is from, and it might not even be Resident Evil 7. I don't know. There's like he's chained to a bed, and this lady keeps brings him dinner, but it's like maggot like soup or something. Like it's something really gross, and if you eat it, you actually die. You start coughing up blood and shit, and you have to get out of the room. And so you have to like unhook yourself and look around. But if you make any noise, she'll come upstairs. And if you're not chained back in your bed, she'll kill you. Like, what is this from?
I don't know.
Basically Misery, but in a video game.
It might not even be Resident Evil. I just think
It's just Kathy Bates.
Are you thinking of
Got
Kathy
you tied up.
Bates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Found my childhood movies.
I'm thinking of what's the one? Misery.
Yeah.
No, I swear this is Resident Evil.
It sounds familiar, and I know.
Oh, no, it's Resident Evil like farmhouse, or it was an offshoot one where you have like all these hillbillies. You're in like a hillbilly house. And
Yeah, that's Resident Evil 7.
Yeah. So it's that.
I don't remember being chained to a bed, but I only played that game through once.
But it was like a puzzle thing. Like it wasn't actually like in the main storyline. It was literally like a one-off. You escape the room and it's done, kind of thing.
Oh, you know what? It might have been one of the DLCs.
Oh, okay. Then that's probably what it is.
Jared, did you ever play any of the DLCs?
I played one and I didn't really like it, but it wasn't whatever Ryan's describing.
I know there was one with like a birthday party.
It was more puzzle based though. That was the kind of interesting thing about it was like, okay, it's kind of like it would get old really fast if I was playing it and couldn't figure out the puzzles, like dying over and over because I'm taking too long to figure it out. Right. Because some of them I was like, okay, how the fuck does this make any sense and work in reality?
Like walkthroughs, man.
It's like Resident Evil.
You put up a certain shadow on a wall and then it completes a painting. The painting comes to life and drops out a key. I'm like, what the fuck?
That sounds awesome.
So
it's like peak Resident Evil right there.
Yeah. So like that stuff, it's kind of funny because I've seen it in other Resident Evil games too, where it's like, okay, I find a ring and I have to pull an eyeball out of a ring and put it in a portrait. And then that's portrait,
literally what I have to do today.
Oh, okay, so yeah, I saw that one. I didn't know if it was the new one or not, but I'm like, how would I would never. I'm more of like a, I guess, linear puzzle solver. In video games, I've never had to I've never done like a point and click adventure kind of thing, where it's like you have to, okay, I'm gonna combine the charcoal with some paper to make a map. And I'm like, how the fuck, where did you get that from? I was like, why do I have this in my inventory? And you need it for the next part of the game. I never would think to combine charcoal and a piece of paper and it magically turns into a map. What? Where did this come from? So, but it's kind of whimsical in a way, which I get, it's kind of a Capcom thing. Because Capcom did Bayonetta as well, right?
I'm not sure.
I think they did Bayonetta. Hold on, I can
looking that up.
Yeah.
All right.
But even like Bayonetta, I don't even. Oh, here it is. Was kind of, tongue. Oh wait, no, it was Sega. Okay, well, never mind. All right, scratch that.
Capcom is very much tongue in cheek. With Resident Evil, they make references to Resident Evil games of the past in everything.
Mm-hmm.
With the Dead Rising series, especially the first one, there's references to Mega Man, Resident Evil.
Devil May Cry has always been really tongue in cheek.
Oh, I was thinking of Devil May Cry. That's what it was. Yeah. Oh, did you? Okay, so the newest Devil May Cry, they did an option where you could opt into cutscenes where it's like live action cutscenes instead, and it's like people like driving around little trucks and exploding them, it's super goofy.
Awesome.
And it was like is it the B-roll? It was like the concept art, I guess, for the cutscenes, but it's like, why the fuck? Why would anybody ever take this as a reference for like the actual cutscenes in a game. It's like, it's not a movie. You don't have to, to do this stuff. You're doing a completely animated thing. So it was very Capcom-y, which was fun and funny. So there's that kind of side to it. But even still, like, I don't really have any desire really to get into any of them. I don't know why.
Something that I think they're doing with 8, from my experience and from what I've read and heard and seen, what they're doing, they've taken like every aspect of their previous success with Resident Evil, and they're just like building a Frankenstein of all of these aspects. Because they brought back
like the item
briefcase.
briefcase.
Yes, you had the attaché case again.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, yes,
I saw that. That was cool.
I liked the whole concept of having very limited inventory space, but you still had that with the attaché case. You just made sure that things were bigger and
and you could flip them and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Make more
flip
room
around.
Tetris, which is
organize it kind of. Yeah, you play Tetris with it.
Oh, so it's like Diablo 2.
Yeah. So like on top of that, they're bringing back the traveling merchant.
Oh, I did see that.
Duke.
Yeah,
big gross looking guy.
Yeah,
he's
What are you
god, he
buying?
makes some weird noises. And there's actually a point where he made a reference in the demo. He's just like, what did he say, Joe? Did he say, "What are you buying"? Oh,
Yeah, he said,
that's
"What are
just
you
one of
buying?"
the things
He's like,
one of my old friends used to say.
Oh,
It's like, oh, this guy knows the guy in
4
Western Europe.
they get together to have coffee,
Yeah.
Assuming he made it off the island. I don't know. Yeah, they're bringing back some of these aspects from the previous games. It continues directly from 7,
right,
a couple years down the line.
I really like that they did that.
Yeah, and like 7 was a real curveball, because like I still need to go back and see how that all fits in together in the story, because I've always been a absolute stan for Resident Evil. So
you're playing
I
as
want to see how that fits.
You're playing as the same character as the previous.
Yeah, you're
game?
playing as Ethan.
Okay.
And like the reveal trailer even had like Chris Redfield shows up and like fucking just shoots your wife.
Oh damn!
Takes
Steals
your
your
baby.
Wow.
You
okay.
wouldn't steal a baby.
You download a baby.
You wouldn't download a car. Oh man, it's like, yeah, if I could, I'd totally do that.
Yeah, right.
No.
But yeah, it looks absolutely awesome, and like there's a lot of hype towards this one, and I'm so skeptical of games that are being overhyped.
Well, yeah.
But this one, I don't think I have any fear of this game sucking in any way. I think it's going to be exactly what it promises, which is
like
another Resident Evil 7. Like we're revolutionizing a little bit. There's semi-werewolves.
Yeah.
Because why not? Oh, and
What was that
vampires.
thing? Oh,
Vampires.
No,
Oh,
they even reference lichens.
Oh,
in,
did they actually?
in like the first
cool.
5 minutes of the demo. So it's like somebody was obviously trying to create essentially a werewolf.
So they're doing.
Or it's the people of this town look at them as if they're werewolves because they resemble and seem to move and growl and look like werewolves.
So it's turning into Underworld.
Pretty much.
Cool.
Except
cool.
I don't know whether the lichens are on the same side as Lady Domitresque.
The big lady.
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Step on me, lady.
Dominatrix.
Yeah. Literally all the memes of like, oh, I can't wait to let her dominate me. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Where are you guys getting this from?
You bring in one trailer, you bring in one 8-foot tall woman, and suddenly everyone's just like,
Yes.
the hottest thing I've ever seen. Step on me.
Never underestimate how horny the internet can be.
Well, okay,
You cannot underestimate how horny and thirsty the fucking internet is.
Well, you look at
it's a cesspool.
Yeah, well, literally a cesspool.
Please watch our podcast.
Yeah. Oh man, but like, hype is so. To jump back onto the and bring it back into a more hype centric topic. I never watch movie trailers for any
Right.
movie, or like well, because you never have to watch commercials anymore, because I watch everything on YouTube, Twitch, or
Yeah.
Netflix, or whatever other service.
I mean, who's got cable anymore?
Well, yeah, exactly. So, because especially with movies, you'd watch like a 5-second trailer and it would somehow spoil the entire movie. And it's like, well, now I don't
Yeah.
have to go see the movie,
Yeah.
you know, or
I've-
sorry, a 5-minute trailer. But
I've seen a whole bunch of movies, not even in the theater, but like I've seen the trailers, and then you go to see the movie, and I've had that experience too.
it's
It
literally
just
the
spoils
exact
it.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's why I don't really like going to the movies necessarily, because I'm gonna see 5 other movies that I want to watch and instantly get them spoiled at the same time. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, fuck me, dude.
By not watching trailers, do you think you're missing out though on like things that you don't just naturally want to see?
Well,
It's a possibility.
Right?
I
'Cause
guess,
I've seen movie
yeah.
trailers that like for movies I didn't know were coming out, and then I
Yeah.
watch it and I like it.
Well, see, I usually get it
Fair
through like kind of through the grapevine of like my family being like, "Oh, this is a really good movie. You should go watch
Right.
it," or you know,
Do
a
you
friend or
so
something.
when you're like browsing Netflix looking for something to watch, do you just go off the movie poster? Do you only watch things that you
Generally,
see?
well, I'll watch like the little, because at least with Netflix, it shows you like the first part of the movie. Like if you
Yeah.
hover
Yeah.
over it
Like a
and
scene.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you hover over it and you start watching that and you hit play, you go right into the movie at that point in which you were watching on the, at least that is how it works for some of them.
Right.
But yeah, I normally get, if I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, I'll look it up on Rotten Tomatoes to see if it got a good review, and then I'll watch it or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if it's a sequel to something I've already watched or whatever. But because I've been burned so much time with overhyping, or so many times by overhyping too, like movies, video games, where I think I've brought this up before, or maybe I haven't. But there was this MMO Aeon that looks super
Oh.
cool.
Mhm.
Oh, so I
Yeah.
have brought this up before. Okay, yeah, and I got super burned
I don't
on
know
that.
if it was on podcast, but you have brought up Aeon before.
Oh, okay. So another example would be Terra. So Terra is now free to play, and I think they're actually going to stop supporting it. I could be wrong there, but I know they changed publishers recently, and the publisher's like, yeah, we're just going to kind of leave it alone. But when it first came out, it was a pay-to-play MMO, and I pre-ordered
Right.
it and everything. So my account is a founder's account. Like I had it day one pre-ordered, and it was fun and it was fine. But once again, it kind of fell into that Korean MMO where it turns super, super grindy. And I don't like grinding at all. So I got to like maybe level, I got maybe halfway closer to 3/4 of the way to end game, and just could not continue doing it because it was way too grindy. And that was the same
Right.
thing with Aeon as well. So you know, I try not to get overhyped with stuff. Well, okay, with Monster Hunter, I was hyped about that because it's, you know, a game, like a sequel to a franchise that generally hasn't changed very
hasn't let you
much.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It very much sticks to kind of like the same core gameplay loop and everything like that. So if it's a sequel, if it's, you know, Bloodborne, I was hyped about, but it was also from a developer that had a really good track record too.
Yeah.
Right. It was by
Yeah.
you know, the Dark Souls people.
From software.
FromSoft, yeah.
That's
FromSoft.
it. Yeah.
So I wasn't, you know, and same thing with Dark Souls 3 when that came out. I was like, okay, Dark Souls 3 is going to be fine. I'm not going to be worried about this. So stuff like that, I still get hyped about every now
Yeah.
and then, but yeah, I try to avoid all that stuff. Because, for example, Outriders, and I've talked a bit about Outriders, a lot of people got burned on Outriders and the overhype. because like it kind of came out of nowhere and was like, oh, we're not gonna do this other bullshit. We're gonna kind of do a different gameplay loop that's kind of a looter shooter, but it kind of isn't. It's got some cover based stuff. So a lot of the pre like the information that was coming out before release made it seem like, oh, it's kind of like a mix between The Division and Destiny in a way. And I was like, oh, whoa, that seems really cool. And it's like the only way you can heal is by doing damage, which is kind of like Bloodborne in a way. It's like, oh, so
Right.
you always have to be pushing forward and always have to be, fighting. But when it came out, there was so many server issues. I took the weekend, an extra long weekend actually,
I remember that. Yeah.
and I got to play maybe an hour because the servers were just fucking broken. I have the starting. I got the starting music burned into my mind because I would literally be sitting there,
Constantly waiting in the
yeah,
loading screen,
and
So,
just
the waiting screen.
You took a weekend off, so you must have been hyped as fuck, right?
yeah, because it looked awesome. It was like, it was kind of, it was also kind of like Borderlandsy in a way because it was a little more like gritty,
I see a bit of Mass Effect in there.
Yeah,
Like,
I've
I've been
seen
watching some gameplay, like Mass Effect with gears.
That's what I was going to
Oh,
say.
yeah.
I see a little bit of Gears
Yeah,
in there
I
as
see
well.
Gears.
Well, see,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's by the same developers as Gears. Like Gears, one of them.
Okay.
But here was the big. So servers, whatever. I got in. I played like how I saw you were kind of supposed to, which was the
Right.
cover based thing, which is actually not how you're supposed to play at all. In like at least in the end game or any sort of like content, you realize that the cover based part of it really you shouldn't really be using it because it doesn't fit with the flow of the game, which you can only get health or you can only survive if you're doing damage.
Why is
So-
it that most people play that way, you think, though?
Well, nobody plays the cover based way because it's counter to the gameplay loop of if I'm hiding behind something, I don't gain any health back. I have to do damage.
Right.
So if I'm hiding, I not doing damage and therefore
Can't
not
just turn
getting health.
away.
So it's like, okay, I have to constantly be pushing, which is a fun and fine gameplay style. It's a lot of fun, but I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's, it was a little bit misleading in a way, or maybe they intended it to work that way, but in reality, it never would.
Do you think people were like expecting Gears almost, which are like the king of cover?
I think so.
So they sort of had promoted as if it was like, hey, the company who made Gears.
hmm
Yeah.
I
feel
really, yeah.
Gears was kind of the
It
I
was the
wouldn't
first
say they
one to do it,
started
like-
the
Yeah.
cover shooter, but they were definitely the one to like popularize it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
perfected it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who started the... I feel like it was them, wasn't it?
When did
I'm just covering my ass here by saying that they
We're
didn't
not
start
sure.
it. They probably did. There might have been some other game that did a similar thing before them. But
I
maybe
can't
it
think
wasn't
of
as
any.
popular.
Yeah, I'm sure
Neither
there
can
was.
I.
But yeah, so I'm sure a lot of people expecting, because in all the trailers and all the whatever, it showed them using cover very like strategically in a way, and it turns out nope, that's completely counter for what you're supposed to do. But you can use it, but it definitely is more of a hindrance than a benefit. And then once they figured out all the server issues, people were getting their inventories completely deleted. Like they put hours and hours into their character, try to do a match with somebody else, try to play with a friend, and their entire inventory would get deleted and you couldn't get it back. Sorry, go fuck yourself. Like
that's rough.
two people can fly's credit, they've been putting out patches constantly. They recently put out one, I think it was Friday or something like that. They put out another huge patch with bug fixes and balancing changes and stuff like that. And considering it's not a live service game, they are doing this kind of out of the goodness of their hearts, but not really. But you know what I'm saying? Because like, if there is any additional content for Outriders, it's definitely going to come in the expansion form. But it's not going to be like because there's no microtransactions in the game at all. You can't spend real life money in the game. So that's cool. But I'm super burnt out on it. I put like 150 hours in it since it came out. And the gear grind at the end game to kind of really do the end game stuff properly is completely RNG, which like that's fine. But when
What is RNG?
Real random,
generated. It's
Yeah.
it's basically luck.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's annoying.
Just gambling.
Yeah, pretty much. You're playing the slot machine on your gear every single time, and when a legendary does drop, you're like, oh my god, is it the one that I needed? And then you pick it up and it's not. It's some completely trash one that is like, why is this even in the game? This is garbage. So with certain classes having you know, good end game builds, you have to have these specific sets in order for you to really be able to push the end game content. At least solo, if you're in a group, it's easier. But if you're joining random groups and you're not, because it gives you a damage breakdown at the end of a run, so you'll see that, oh, Joe and Jared did 20 million damage through that run, and Ryan did 160.
Right.
All right, I'm getting rid of these, and then you know,
Right.
so it's an always online game in which you can play solo, but playing it solo is incredibly difficult, especially in the end game activity where it's like a timed activity. If you die, you do the whole thing over. But in multiplayer, if I die, I'm downed. I get a personal revive. Everybody gets one personal revive. And then if you go down again, your teammates can revive you. So it's super forgiving in multiplayer, and it's incredibly punishing because I did a run recently where I made it to the very last part. I was about to kill the boss, and I got one shot by him. And was like, okay, I'm done for the day. I'm not, and I wasn't really gonna put in the effort to play with a group, because then it's like you find a group and you carry them, and it's like, ugh, this is lame. And you leave and you find another group, whatever. But it is like, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying there was a lot of expectations that I had, and I'm sure other people had, for when it launched, and the stuff that they had seen, because they did a free demo. You could get to level 6 or something like that, or you could get to a certain story point and then you couldn't go any further. But there were parts in that where, hold on, sorry, give me one. There was, certain beats where it missed the mark, and then there was other stuff as well that once
you seem to have a very love-hate relationship with the game.
Yeah, like now I guess it's a bit more of a love-hate, because now I'm kind of burnt out.
Would you recommend anybody buy the game now, or do you think they should wait like 6 months to a year down the line? Do you see it improving at all? I haven't really gone in and tested any of the new, because I didn't have any of the bugs. All these other people had all these bugs. The only bugs I had were getting like hard crashes, but that was it. I wasn't getting my inventory wiped. I wasn't getting to.
Yeah, I read something about that today. Like, a lot of people had their inventory wiped.
Yeah, so that wasn't happening. There was one mission that a lot of people had bugged, but my first playthrough I didn't have bugged, where you would complete a mission, and when you're going to hand in to the quest giver, you would hand it in, you would pick your reward, and then the game would hard crash. Every single time. Literally, without fail. The quest was like just bugged. You could do everything else in the game perfectly fine, but that one quest
before you get the options.
Yeah, right.
well, yeah, but like it made no sense why that one quest, when you've completed it and are just picking your reward, which you do with every other quest in the game, that this one crashes. It didn't make any sense. I had a ton of crashes. It is 100% the only game where I've had hard crashes. Like,
have you ever played anything before Skyrim?
I swear I haven't. Like, at least if I did get a hard crash, it was one time kind of thing.
Right.
I've never really had the experience, but I've also always had a generally top end computer.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, my 8 gigs of RAM, I keep getting this error and it crashes the game. And I'm like, well, I'm sitting there with 32 and I'm like, oh, I don't have that problem. So, it's never really been an issue. I would minimum, I've probably had like 100 crashes in that game. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, and other people had the exact same thing too, where they were like, I was getting basically a crash per hour.
That's horrible, dude.
Yeah, at least for like the first week.
Seeing, like the Steam notifications, like Daedread's playing Outriders every 45 minutes.
That explains it.
Yeah. Well, also I was doing an exploit as well recently. I haven't had any hard crashes recently, but yeah, the weird exploits you can do in the game is like you complete a mission and then you get all your rewards. It's like a 10-part mission, and the guy you hand it into is also a vendor. So before you exit him, you check to see what legendary you got, and you're like, oh, I don't like that one. You Alt F4, and then you go back in and you do the same thing. And if you exit from the guy, you have to do it all over again.
Shit.
But if you sit there and just stay in his little bubble and like, it's like, oh, that's not the one I want, Alt F4, and you go and you do it all over again. But that's
Big Dork Energy does not condone exploits.
Literally the only video game ever that I've done a single exploit in ever.
Oh,
They
please.
kind of deserve it with
I'm not even
Prosper.
kidding. I'm not even kidding. I think maybe, but this is World of Warcraft. Is like, it's more of a cheese in World of Warcraft where it's like, oh yeah, if you stand on this one platform and you don't move, no ad spawn, even though they're supposed to. And it's like, okay, cool. And then eventually it gets patched out. So it's like, lame. But like, that's that.
Jared,
but-
you said that. It's like we don't exploit games. What are you talking about?
I don't.
And like
Never.
literally
Like a
every
month
time
ago.
we play the forest now,
Command.
we're not using the console. We're using in-game exploits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you pick up and put down a log at the same time.
But that's the
You get
exact same thing
creative
I
with
was
that
doing. Like,
Yeah, so
It's
I'm
an
sorry for
oversight
judging.
by the
I'm trying to come down. I'm coming down on the.
I was
Like,
outsmarting
you
the
there
game
for a
logic. Like, that's all I was
Doubling
doing.
down on BDE exploits.
Yeah, exactly. But once again, that kind of goes back to the whole issue with the gear grind. It's like there's no way to target the gear that you want, and each class has, I don't know, 3 or 4 like gear sets,
Right.
like legendary gear sets, and you get 3 pieces of it, then you get like your set piece bonus, which does something really cool.
Right.
And then on top of that, you have 2 to 3 just like non-character specific legendary sets too. And then on top of all that, you've got legendary weapons as well. And there's like a ton of legendary weapons. So basically you're going up against a pool of 100 legendaries ish. I know that could be way off, but I feel like it's close to that number.
I think the ish covers you there.
Yeah, so your legendary pool, the stuff that you can get from, any legendary drop, and you need 3 specific things, maybe 5. So you're getting a 5% chance or 1% chance every single time a legendary drops to be the one that you want. So I was tired of just like doing the same shit over and over and not getting my legendary. So I was like, well, I'm gonna
might as well just go to a casino.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that instead. Because if they had a way to target the legendaries or something like that you could work towards, that would be better in my opinion. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I can fart around with another build because this one's, OPAF and I don't have to worry about anything. Now I can play another character or something like that, But I don't know.
So I imagine you would say, do not buy this game.
There's your answer.
In answer to the question Joe asked about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
You were probably disappointed day one.
Yeah.
But
well,
now would you say you're still disappointed
now
in the game?
No, I got my money's worth out of it, and I had fun playing it. Spent whatever $80 on the game, got 150 hours out of it. That's fine.
Yeah.
You pay $30 ish to watch a 3-hour movie. You're kind of getting your money's worth ish, but not
you
really.
156 hours on Recommend. That's pretty decent.
Yes.
You got more than your money's worth.
Yeah, I got basically 2 hours per dollar spent playing the game.
Yeah.
So
which I think we've talked about here before, like
the $1 per hour
metric to measure whether a game is worth it to you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's been games that were 20 hours I paid full price for and had a lot of fun with, but I would say whether or not I recommend it, now I don't know what to say. If you have a core, like it's you and 2 other friends and you're all like, okay, we're going to get this game, we're going to play together. And it's like, you guys are actually going to play together and stick together. I think you'll have a really fun time with it from start to whenever you finish, because not only is the content going to be, a bit more forgiving, but it's also, you're going to have that camaraderie and stuff. If you're going to play kind of completely solo, like I am, and they're looking for group system is fucking trash. So you're like, I basically played solo for the entire 160 hours. If you like a challenge in a way, then
by Dark Souls.
Well, I'd say it's a good game,
but
definitely kind of go into it with certain expectations. Like the software issues are being fixed, which is fine. I think a lot of the patches have fixed the stability and everything, but from a core gameplay tuning, it was definitely tuned more towards multiplayer because it's a online only, game that you can play with 2 other people. But you have the option to play solo, but it's fucking hard to play solo if you don't know.
Wants to do it.
If you don't know anything about the game, you're gonna have a rough time, right? So I like it. I don't know. I maybe wouldn't recommend it now that if you asked me this like 2 weeks ago, I would have said yes. I 100% recommend the game. But after a while of like running the same content for hours and hours and hours and not getting a single thing that I needed, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I already get that from World of Warcraft. I don't need it in another game.
Yeah.
So.
Radio.
By the way, I did look it up. They're not the same developer, which I actually thought they were. There was a game back in 2005 that I remember playing that was very much cover-based combat.
The first one?
Bandit Brothers.
Oh, yeah. See, I was going to say that.
No,
I was going to say that.
Sorry, it wasn't Bandit Brothers.
No, I know.
Brothers in Arms.
Brothers in Arms. Yeah, I was going to say that.
No, it wasn't covered. No, it
no, wait. No. I'm thinking of something else.
No.
It was squad based.
Yeah, where you could tell your
World War
squad
II
to do
combat.
stuff. Yeah.
And you
That's yeah.
No, but we were
Yeah.
talking about a cover system earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
had
and
a
this
cover
was all
system.
cover.
You had you yourself, your squad mates, and the enemies all had like red circles above their head, and if you suppressed
That's
them and
brothers in
stuff,
arms.
but it was cover based. It 100%
Oh, it
was.
was definitely cover based. It was a lot about positioning yourself to like flank and everything. like that.
Yeah.
And I think that game was actually pretty popular. It came out on the
hated it.
Xbox, and I can't remember if it came out on PS2 as well, or maybe
It
it was
did.
just PC.
I remember I played Road to Hill 30 a whole bunch as a kid.
Yeah, there were
That
like,
Earned in Blood.
I'm looking at this right now, and there's like 9. There's a ton of these games. You had like D-Day, Earned in Blood, DS. So I guess they had a DS version.
The DS
Oh,
one
yeah.
Highway,
sucked.
Art of War,
Yeah.
which I
Wonder
guess
what
is
happened.
basically. It was made by Gearbox.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gearbox is still doing
put out
shit.
quite a bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
They put out some good stuff, and like they put out some good stuff back in the day too, like
Oh
Homeland.
yeah.
Homeland.
They
No.
did the expansion
Homeworld.
packs.
Homeworld.
They did the
Yeah,
expansion
Homeworld.
packs for Half-Life.
Yes, they did.
Blue Shift.
Opposing
Blue,
Force and
Blue Shift
Blue
and Opposing
Shift.
Force.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have they come out with a game recently? I feel like they have.
Let me.
yeah. I
hold
feel like
up.
I've seen their logo on something recently.
Yeah.
Well, they did
They-
the Borderlands series.
Oh, they
They
okay,
did
that's-
Borderlands. They
then
did
that's
Duke
right.
Nukem.
Yeah.
They've been bought up by Embracer Group.
Who the fuck's that?
THQ.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And funnily enough, I actually just remember this. They helped do the port to PC, the first Halo 1 PC port. They actually did that one.
Oh,
shit.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
didn't that take
Right.
forever to come to PC?
Oh
It
my
did.
god,
It
yeah, it
took
did.
a long time.
Like the
No,
game
it
was
Halo 1 on PC came out like a couple years after it was released on Xbox. But yeah, it was a couple years.
yeah, it
I
was. a
just
while.
feel it was still like a lot longer than it should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back then you didn't really have
It's Microsoft. Come
Yeah.
on.
Well, would you prefer a couple years, or how about like over 10 to get all of the Halos on PC?
Well, yeah,
or
there
actually,
you go.
no, it was like 15 years. Or was it?
I do
the-
have to say though, worth it, and like dropped at the perfect time. The MCC
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
out just like that came out at the beginning of the pandemic or halfway
Well,
through.
on PC,
It was
yeah.
a little bit before, yeah, I think.
It came out like just in time for everybody to have enough time to sit down and play through all of the Halos.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's fantastic.
The remastered is really nice.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
It looks great.
yeah, for sure. They definitely did a good job.
It's really fun to like look at how the first game to the remaster, the difference there, and then you look at the second game and the remaster. And by the third game, you're starting to see where the graphics are kind of catching up a little bit at
Yeah.
a time. Just kind of cool to see with the whole series like that.
Yeah, and a lot of people were nervous about the collection not living up to the hype because they're like
Yeah.
PC ports, it's always it's a tough one. So you heard all my rant about Outriders and how it kind of lived up to the hype and I still enjoyed it, but now I'm like, nah, like only if you have a group. So what are some big games or other media where you were super hyped about it? It came out and you were like, well, damn it.
Do you guys remember All Points Bulletin, APB? It went by.
No.
No.
I
No?
remember
Oh, well, this is
seeing the
not gonna be a
letters
good
APB,
conversation.
but that
Yeah,
was about
well, it was by what's his name, David Jones or something, the guy who like created Grand Theft Auto, basically. And he did Crackdown at the time.
Oh, this game.
Yeah, and it like Crackdown came out, and I loved Crackdown, and they had announced All Points Bulletin, and it's basically what GTA Online has become, like an online open world MMO.
Yeah.
That's what they said it was going to be, and they like,
oh yes.
yeah, there was so much hype about it. It like
Yeah.
it bankrupted the company. It cost like $100 million to make, and like I remember I was probably 15 when it was announced, and it came out when I was probably like 20. So like talk about, long enough for the hype to die. 5 years will do it. And like it sucked.
Well,
it sucked
that's
horrible.
Another game I was thinking of that's very similar to that. A game that went for development hell was Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Duke
That
Nukem
was a
Forever.
shit show.
Yeah.
That game was in development hell for like
10 years.
15 years, something
If
like
only
that.
it stayed there. Shit.
Yeah.
Like I've
Yeah.
never heard a positive thing about that game. Like
It's
I've never
not
heard,
very good.
this sucked, but there's no buts. It
No.
like almost
Oh, there's
every single
plenty of
person I've
butts in the
talked
game.
to.
There's
There's
plenty
plenty
of
of
bugs.
I remember the humor of the game, like feeling like it was 15 years old because they never like rewrote it
Yeah.
from the original script. Like it just had
No.
aged horribly.
It's like
It
they literally
doesn't
just
age
took
well.
sound bites from the old game and they were like,
Yeah.
let's throw it into a new
Yeah.
game and
Yeah.
try and kick that nostalgia right in the nuts. No,
Yeah.
it didn't work.
Serious
What
Sam
are you
kind of did
doing?
the same thing.
Yeah.
They recently kicked
Yeah.
up with that, and it just those game types just don't really work that much anymore. I guess
No.
Doom.
Yeah,
But
Doom-
yeah,
Doom's
Yeah, I mean,
Doom's
Doom could
good.
do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Doom can do it, but also like Doom was a silent protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
frankly, silent protagonists can't say anything that, isn't exactly kosher.
Or gonna
you,
stand the
Gordon
test of
Freeman.
time.
Yeah, exactly. A silent
Uh,
protagonist can stand the test of time as long as they're
Yeah.
not doing anything horrible. Which I mean, he's just saving the world. So
Not a
For
bad
him.
guy.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Chris?
Okay, now mine is kind of weird because I've seen I think actually most of you guys have seen it too, because I think I was doing a stream one night and the end of it I rated who was it? Sorry, I've got
I feel like I
separate-
know what you're talking about, but
I have two separate lilies on my like that I follow. And this one,
While Chris is looking that up, so this game, right? It was the APB. It was $50 to buy, and after 50 hours, you had to pay an extra $7 for every 20 hours you played.
What?
Why?
Isn't that the most horseshit thing you've ever heard? I just remembered it
Wait, why
Yeah.
did they do that though? What was the?
because they're
incentive?
fucking idiots. I don't know.
they're
I
fucking
remember you
morons.
could
That's
pay, I think there was
insane.
like a monthly fee as well, like instead of the $7 for every 20 hours. But yeah, so basically you get $1 per hour, and then you have to pay to play. It's just terrible.
Was it an MMO?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think they tried doing like the Warcraft thing, but $7 for 20
Didn't
hours
land.
is crazy. Anywho, sorry, Chris.
No, it's okay. I was blanking because I just started following someone else named Lily on Twitch, and I could not get that name out of my head to think of Spider Lily, who I think I've rated her a couple of times now. And she's usually playing Star Citizen.
Oh,
Which-
Oh man.
What is
Star
that
Citizen
game?
was the game that was promised, man. For me, like I loved Freelancer. It was one of my favorite games. I still go back and play in empty servers all the time because I fucking love that game. It is so much fun. And it's exactly what I want out of a space sim RPG, anything, right? So like she's been playing Star Citizen, and finally that game is looking like a game that might be worth investing in.
I looked at it semi recently and I was like, this seems really expensive to buy. Hold on.
Well, like
She
the price of
did
it?
break it down that like it can be affordable. The idea is like you can pay for the game and certain ships, I believe.
Yeah, so
Is
there's
it like a pay to play?
Sorry,
Is it like a pay to play or a monthly
I think you have to
subscription?
like I think you have to buy the game.
yeah, you have to buy the game. I'm looking at it
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. You've got
Okay.
you got a couple ships that are like $50 each.
I'd
Right.
imagine most games you'd have to buy to play them.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's free to play games.
No, yeah,
Well, I know, but
RuneScape,
Team Fortress,
which is
2,
still
you know,
around. It's Team Fortress 2, which didn't
wasn't
start
free to
free.
play to start though.
no.
No, we all paid for it like suckers.
Yeah.
Why is it not? Okay, there's no way it's $45.
That was the thing though. Like this game, I remember it was announced back in like I want to say 2006.
I can't even
2007.
remember. Yeah,
It's been so long. I can't remember when this game was announced. And I remember like just squeeing. I was so excited. I was like losing my shit. And then 2 years later, I remember having a conversation with like a good buddy of mine and my brother. And we're just sitting around. It's like, oh my God. Like we're looking up all the different ships. It's like, oh my God, this would be really cool. I want this one. It's like, I want to serve on your ship. Like we're planning everything out. And it's like, yeah, this game's gonna come out eventually, right? And then 10 years later, I happened to pop into a stream with someone playing it, and it's like it's still not done, but there is a game there at least.
It looks really nice.
So just
Yeah.
a little bit of context though. This game has now raised $350 million.
Wow.
And, it's
Wow.
just starting to look like a game. I don't know. At least this is what this article
it
says.
has taken them 10 years to raise $350 million, but that's that's a semi-decent movie budget. So
that amount of money, there better be a good game that comes out of that.
Well,
Yeah.
here's a little thing. You can get the UEE Exploration 2950 pledge for $1,000.
Wow.
And then there's all these other ships that are like $60, $100.
that's a cool looking ship though.
And these are just the ships. These are
We're gonna start a GoFundMe for Chris.
Yeah.
like holy crap, like this is insane. There's a whole other thing of ships too. Like this list goes on forever. And I bet
No, these are also games ships that you can buy in game, from what I understand.
Yeah, but even
it's a lot of grinding.
still. And that's the
But
thing. It's a gotcha
People
game, right?
like grinding now.
Yeah, I guess.
Not Ryan.
Not Ryan.
No.
Not me.
No, hate it. Except for World of Warcraft. For some reason,
Tony
World of
Hawk.
Warcraft does it properly.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater
Ooh.
grinding's a lot of fun.
I want the Constellation Aquila.
Like,
How much does
don't
this
get me
one
wrong. I was super stoked for this game too when it was announced and they kind of showed all the little things that they're doing with it and how it's supposed to be like the world-ending video game. No video game will ever live up to this because you can do literally everything in this game. Want to take a dump on some other player? You can totally do that. You can do anything.
That was you know what other game had that premise?
Portal.
No, Jared's been playing it, or he was recently playing it.
Silent Hill 2.
Oh, Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
You
But
can do
Jared actually
everything.
really likes that game. So
I enjoy it. Yeah, like I sort of avoided the pre-game hype, other than hey, that trailer looked cool. I didn't really like read too much into all of the issues and stuff that it was having.
Is it less broken now than when it was?
I haven't played it in a few months, but I did play it after they released their last patch, and it was a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I never had any game-breaking glitches. If anything, it was just kind of funny. you know?
Like that's the thing. I've seen a lot of the glitches in videos on YouTube, and it's like I wouldn't see that as a negative thing unless it lost me progress.
Right. And like
It's like if somebody goes to pull a chip out of their head and a gun comes out, and then
That
they
sounds
hand the gun to you,
hilarious.
I'd be laughing my ass off. Because glitches are funny.
Yeah.
I know a lot of
It's good
people's
that we have a couple of
disappointment
little
was
glitches in there.
in the actual like game itself, because there was a lot of promises made that weren't kept.
Yeah.
But like again, I didn't look into that stuff too much beforehand, so I was just expecting like a really fun shooter, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, once again, because I've been burned by the hype so many times, and literally everybody was hyping up Cyberpunk. Oh, it's by CD Projekt Red. Oh, The Witcher is so good. Oh, look,
They never do wrong.
they're super good developers. Oh my god, it's gonna be good. And I'm sitting there the entire time like, I'm gonna wait for the reviews. There's no way this game's gonna live up to what it's saying it's gonna live up to. And then look what happened.
Yeah.
I saved myself
Is it an
$80.
issue where like every company has to have that like fall from grace before they can come back with something great? Because like going back to Capcom,
Yeah.
Resident Evil 6,
Yeah.
kind of considered an absolute stinker. It was kind of, yeah, it might be one of the worst in the series in terms of like, you guys jumped the shark like 30 times.
Yeah.
But then they come up with 7. It's huge innovation, and it hit, and it was loved. A lot of people really liked that one. There weren't any problems, and then they came back with the RE remake 2
Yeah.
and then Nemesis. So like I'm almost wondering if companies do have to kind of hit that. A lot of the big companies, what they'll do is they'll just build up, and then there's so much expectation that their next big project, something's gonna have to go wrong. Like just it's not gonna live up to expectation.
I think
But this does leave space for the next one after that can bring it back.
yeah.
Improvement.
Yeah, I think a good example for that maybe would be EA with the Star Wars properties. They had this huge, but everybody who's like knows video games, I think, heard about the Battlefront terribleness.
Boxes.
Yeah, but so and it tanked EA's stock price like pretty hard, and then they were like, "Oh fuck, gamers don't want this anymore. We can't scam them anymore.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?"
Released an entirely online multiplayer game that just didn't really live up to that expectation.
But then they fixed the game, and they came out with what was it called? The Star Wars
Squadrons.
Squadrons was another one, but
Yeah.
the
Jedi Fallen Order.
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order.
And all of a sudden everybody's like, "What? This is an EA game? What?"
Yeah.
So anytime EA comes out with a game that isn't like a gotcha game, going for like obviously the sports games are completely different story in and of itself, but every single time EA comes out with a good game that doesn't have microtransactions and all other bullshit, the reviewers are like, "Is this an EA game? I don't believe you. There's no way."
Like it shows you that EA is completely capable of making a good game, a successful game, and a game that people like to play and like to hype.
Yep.
They just choose not to because that doesn't always make them money.
Well, it's corporate greed, right? Fallen Order didn't, as far as I remember, it did well enough, but not well enough for like the shareholders and stuff. It definitely didn't bring in enough profit.
But then look at Squadrons. Squadrons was exactly what everybody expected it to be. They were like, it's going to be 5-on-5 space combat. We're going to charge $40 instead of like $80 because this isn't, it's a AAA title in the sense that EA made it. But this is not like, there's not story really.
Yeah, the story was kind of meh.
EA didn't technically made it. It was a different developer, right? But it was published
that was DICE,
by
wasn't
EA.
it?
Yeah. Well,
it was DICE, which is in lieu with EA, I believe.
I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
Maybe it was developed by EA. I know it was published for sure.
Well, it had to be because EA holds the publishing rights for all Star Wars properties. They lost it recently.
They lost the Lord of the Rings one too. Which,
that was
EA can eat my ass.
But
that's what it stands for. Eat ass.
Yeah, dude.
It's in the game. Sorry, I'm pissed. I'm so pissed.
Oh, man.
Because all of the Lord of the Rings games before Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, which includes 2 of my favorite strategy games, are unavailable. The only way to find them right now is by literally like, I don't know how Facebook allows these ads, but there's ads that have popped up being like, "We will sell you keys to these games," and it's like, that's illegal, but
but
I'm kind of interested. Not going to do it, but
that's one
I'm
of the
intrigued.
reasons
I'm
EA
intrigued.
is like the most evilest company in the world is the fact they keep killing games too.
Evilest company in the world, Amazon,
want-
hands down. No, I don't know.
But I
Apple.
want Battle of Middle Earth, man. I have Battle of Middle Earth. I want Battle for Middle Earth 2, but you can't find it.
The
It's
MMO
like
just got
$100.
canned too. The
Lotro. It's still going, but it's not going to be receiving any more updates.
no. There
I
was
believe.
another MMO, Lord of the Rings MMO, that was announced and it got canned, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Was there? I
Yeah.
don't remember.
There's supposed to be another one. It's actually
Wait for somebody else to pick up the rights.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Yeah.
conversation about like MMOs, that style of MMOs that's based on a property. You know, it's not like it's like the same thing with the Matrix MMO, where you went in there and you're like, I want to be Neo, but you don't get to be Neo. And
Because
it's
everybody
like,
wants to be Neo.
but that's the whole thing. You're going in there with an expectation. Once again, the
Yeah.
whole hype thing. You're going into it being like, oh my God, Matrix is so cool. I can't wait to play Neo in this fucking MMO and just do all this really cool stuff. They're like, nope, sorry, you don't get to. So same thing with Lord of the Rings. A lot of Lord of the Rings fans are probably going to be going into it thinking, you know, oh, I could make a Gimli or a whatever. I get to see them in the story or whatever. But the expectation isn't going, or the reality isn't going to live up to that expectation, because it's just the style and the property. You can't have an MMO and have everybody be Aragorn or Legolas or whoever. That's just, it doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, you know, EA sucks, but they've started to redeem themselves, except for, wait, no, those two aren't related. Never mind.
They're still killing games though.
They're
That's where I draw the line.
they're killing games. They've killed a bunch of developers. Yeah, they're notorious for that. But if they, you know, keep making not shitty games that aren't completely squeezing you, then I don't see that as a bad thing.
I'll keep buying them.
But I think we've hit an hour, so want to thank everybody who watched. You know, I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. And we'll be back in with another podcast in about a month. We'll, you know, make something interesting, hopefully.
Thank you.
Right.
Got Shooter McGavin up in the corner here.
Yeah. Good job,
Oh, yeah, I
guys.
gotta have the 2-finger guns.
Nice.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Fun podcast.
Yeah.
Fun podcast.